There was a time when these pumps gathered dust on shop floors from coast to coast. Influencers skimmed past them in gear videos. Even seasoned shooters shrugged and reached for something flashier. Then, almost overnight, a very different crowd showed up. Preppers. They walked into stores and walked out with multiple boxes, 10 at a time, sometimes more. That buying rush changed the whole conversation around cheap shotguns. So what happened? Stick with me. We'll unpack it. The overlooked shelf. Not long ago, you could find this model tucked low on the display. The one nobody bothered to grab. The price? Almost laughable. Around $200. The brand? The kind of entry-level pump you'd expect to see ignored. Folks were busy admiring glossy, expensive names. The Italian-made semis. The classic Woodstock 870s that scream tradition. Even the well-regarded Mossberg 500 made the Maverick look like an oddball. The first time I handled one, I'll admit I smirked. First impressions. It didn't exactly whisper quality. The finish was plain and uneven. The polymer stock felt light, almost toy-like, and every aesthetic cue screamed budget. Back then, cheap implied compromise, sloppy fit, questionable longevity, and spotty dependability. The message from many corners online was blunt: fine as a showpiece. Don't expect this to survive serious use. That reputation stuck until people dug a little deeper. Where it's made, and why that mattered. Some folks dismissed it outright when they realized parts came from outside the US. Assembled domestically, yes, but with components sourced elsewhere. For a segment of buyers, anything not 100% American-built was a non-starter. That manufacturing footprint gave critics one more reason to write it off as disposable. But critics weren't the people who eventually turned the story on its head. Enter the preppers. Preppers aren't shopping for style points. They don't care about glossy walnut or engraved receivers. Their question is simple. Will it do the job when everything else fails? Once they started handling these pumps, they looked past the rough paint and basic polymer. They peeled back the layers, and what they found surprised a lot of people. The big reveal. Under the surface, this modestly priced pump shares the majority of its design and parts with a legendary workhorse. Barrels are swap-friendly. Stocks fit easily. Many internal parts are interchangeable. In short, you're getting the core of a proven, time-tested platform for a fraction of the cost. That realization spread quickly through the prepper community, and fast. Why that matters in practice. All of a sudden, the math changed. Rather than dropping $400 on a single model, you could get essentially the same operating system for half that. The pump action itself is simple and rugged. Fewer parts, fewer potential failures. These things have run in all kinds of conditions for decades: mud, dust, rain, freezing temps, hot deserts, and kept cycling. When a gun's design is simple, field fixes are easier and more reliable. Upgradability and modularity. Even straight from the box, it's serviceable. Standard magazine capacity, basic sights, a durable action. But because of the shared parts ecosystem, upgrades are painless. Want more rounds? Swap in an extended tube. Need a shorter barrel for close quarters? Drop it in. Pistol grips, aftermarket stocks, chokes, rails, most enhancements bolt on without exotic tools or gunsmith wizardry. That flexibility turned a cheap pump into a multi-role tool: hunting rig, truck gun, home defense piece, or a compact survival weapon. The prepper strategy. Here's where the argument gets strategic. In a survival scenario, having several decent, serviceable guns beats owning one pristine, expensive firearm. If one fails, you still have backups. Training becomes uniform. The whole household learns the same controls and maintenance routines, and a single parts kit can service multiple guns. Families started buying by the case, stacking identical pumps in basements and trunks. It's a logistics play as much as it is a purchase decision. Market reaction. Once that Sentinel group started buying, demand surged. Rifles that used to gather dust flew off shelves. Retailers found their orders depleted faster than usual. A gun that was once the low-rent option suddenly sold out and showed up as top-shelf stock. Prices crept up. What used to be a sleeper became a hot commodity. And that shift taught a simple lesson about how markets react when people discover value. What you actually get. Let's be frank, you're not getting luxury materials or showpiece finishes. You're getting a dependable action, wide aftermarket support, and parts that are generally easy to find. That leftover money in your budget can go to ammo, site upgrades, or practical training, the things that actually improve readiness. The durability? Solid for its class. The simplicity? A virtue, because simple means maintainable in the field. What to watch out for? Not everything is perfect. Ergonomics are basic. The safety layout isn't the same as some higher-end pumps, which can be a nuisance depending on how you shoot or if you're left-handed. Cosmetic finish is utilitarian at best. Some components are stamped rather than machined to keep the price low, and you won't get factory rails or tactical extras without aftermarket investment. But none of those trade-offs negate the platform's core value. They just set expectations. Real-world use cases. This gun found roles everywhere. A no-fuss truck gun that won't cry over scratches, a compact piece for a cabin or dooryard, a backup packed into a bug-out cache. It's not a trophy, it's a tool. And tools are judged by how they perform under pressure, not by how they look on a shelf. The Maverick turned prepper phenomenon is a reminder, gloss and branding aren't the whole story. Sometimes the best equipment is the one that quietly does the job day after day at a price that lets you buy ammo, spare parts, and training, and still have money left over. If you're building a practical, budget-minded survival kit, this style of pump deserves serious consideration. If this breakdown helped you rethink the value of no-nonsense gear, hit subscribe, drop a like, and tell us in the comments. Do you own one of these pumps, or do you prefer another budget option? Share your experience. Until next time, train smart, plan ahead, and keep your priorities practical. Stay safe out there.